This beautiful public house in Covent Garden is called the Lamb and Flag. Now, Covent Garden used to be a particularly rough place. It was originally a fruit and veg market. The sorts of people that sold and bought fruit and veg were pretty capable, pretty handy to say the least. As a result, this location became as rough as a bed of nails. So much so that the upstairs of this public house was used for bare knuckle fighting. Now, another piece of history that alludes to the violence that took place here was during the 1600s, a man named John Dryden, who was a poet, had basically disrespected the Earl of Rochester and Charles II, the Merry Monarch, in one of his works of literature. As a result, the Earl of Rochester had a few of his associates turn up and beat Dryden nearly to death in that alleyway there. Now, bear in mind, these associates could have come from absolutely anywhere, so they needn't have necessarily been locals. So that particular piece of history isn't necessarily a representation of the locals, but it is a representation of this public house's violent past. Now, today is a beautiful day, as you can see, in London. As usual, Dan and I are out in the thick of it. This pub's interior is actually more stunning than its exterior. So we're going to go inside and show it off for them. Now, usually this place is absolutely mobbed, so you could actually walk in here and not even realise how nice it is because it's so dense with customers. The back part of the public house is actually listed separately from its usual listing, which you get on the frontage. This is a genuine Victorian room. It's not a replica, this isn't imitation, these are genuine Victorian features, especially directly behind me here. And that's incredibly special, as most public houses that are worth going to will do everything in their power to imitate the past, whereas somewhere like this actually has it on show. So all of them pubs that now, they're buying up old pubs and they're going out of their way to sort of imitate that which came before them. It's actually pubs like this from which they take their inspiration. So you can't always tell from first looking at a pub how interesting it is or the history that surrounds it. This pub, like others that we are looking at or will be looking at, are particularly relevant to people like Charles II, who was somewhat of a naughty monarch, the Merry Monarch, who spent more time enjoying himself than actually working. Obviously, what with the beheading of his father, he had no real power anyway. He was a plastic king. Whatever the case, pubs like this leave us many memories of them, be they good or bad. Now, this pub, despite it having an awful name in violence, I mean, it was actually called the Bucket of Blood. It was referred to as the Bucket of Blood. To this day, it's actually one of the more beautiful pubs we have left. We are not spoilt anymore in Covent Garden for public houses. Some of them have gone altogether, some of them have just turned into things that we don't want to attend. So public houses like the Lamb and Flag are particularly important. Now, that's probably why it's always so packed, and whether you're fighting your way through tourists or pub lovers, you're usually within a very confined sardine tin within the Lamb and Flag. So if you can get here early when it first opens, it's when you get a little bit of breathing space. But whether it's packed or not, if you are in Covent Garden, I would suggest visiting a public house like the Lamb and Flag, because at least then you're actually stepping back in time whilst enjoying yourself in today's time. Anyway, think for yourself. See you soon.